Hello, midterms, you are halfway through. I'm so happy for you guys. So this week we are going to be kind of wrapping things up with Chapter 3, talking about a little bit of classroom management, and then you're done. So I am looking forward to looking at your interviews. Hopefully you'll get those in tomorrow. I have on the thing, no exceptions, only because I did give you quite a bit of time to work on this, but if, life happens, barring anything crazy, let me know if I can help out with that extension, but hopefully we can get it all in. The next thing is, please don't forget that next week is spring break, so they will not be meeting at all. I won't have videos up. And if you notice down here, we don't talk again until March 15th. So March 15th, I'll put up a video on disruptive behavior. We'll open Chapter 4, and we'll kind of start from there. But right now, we're just kind of closing up Chapter 3 and the first part of our semester. So just remember that you do have a Chapter 3 quiz due, and as always, open note, open book, however you want to get through it. But most of all the questions are coming right from the chapters, so please look into that. So if you haven't had a chance to read over Chapter 3 yet, I really want you to take special attention to page 95, where it says Making Your Classroom and School a Professional Learning Community. So, I get my old lady glasses on here. So when we're talking about a learning community, we want to make sure that the students know that you are in this together with them. So you are part of this community, that you're learning together, you're growing together. And that's one part of your job as a teacher, is to be in community with your learners, but you also need to be in community with your other teachers. So often during schools, you will run into a thing called PLCs, which is like professional learning communities. And then that way you are going to be paired with other teachers in your school to either address a project, address some problems, or talk about like grades or whatever it is. I know when I was in my PLC, it was fabulous. I was teaching 3rd grade, and so my partners were the 4th grade teacher and the 2nd grade teachers. So then I got to know like what is expected of my students when they go to 4th grade, and then also my 2nd grade teachers, I really got to know them well, so I knew what my students were taught and how they were taught in 2nd grade, so we can kind of just make that seamless transition. So just know that you are part of the learning community, so you are always going to be growing and learning yourself. The more you teach, the more you find out you don't know about, and then things that you try. Different classes are going to work for one solution and others will not, so just know that you're always going to be in a learning community. Another thing I want to point out to you is the word constructivism in learning communities, because it kind of goes hand in hand. And constructivism means creating, well, it's kind of the idea of creating shared ideas from a learned experience. And a lot of times when we have the most powerful learning in classrooms, it's when the teacher and the student have learning experiences together. So sometimes we look at like field trips or movies or like in events or programs or like, any kind of programming you have in your school as something different than the usual. Well, that's a great place to start these constructivism ways of thinking. You could do like a shared reading about it. You could do a shared writing about it. You could do an interactive video about it. You could do like a summary of it. You could do like a marketing thing of it. I mean, as long as we're doing something together as a group, sharing these ideas and that we all have from this learned experience. So that's something that's another important thing to have kind of in your back pocket to know about. Another idea for shared experiences too is like your learning community between you and your students. We're going to have to learn from each other. So you might not be the expert in the classroom about dinosaurs or whatever animal the student is into, or if they have like a train fascination or airplanes or whatever it is, they may know a lot about that. So make them the experts in the field and have them teach you, and be open to doing that as well, having them teach you and of course the other students too. So just know that there's going to be times in the classroom too that you are not always going to be the expert and kind of know what's going on, but kind of like taking those reins back and giving them over to the students is a really, really powerful thing. I know, Piper, when you're thinking about maybe junior high English, this is the perfect time to put them in charge. I've seen teachers do different activities where like, okay, so one group is in charge of teaching the class about idioms, and then the other group is like, you're in charge of adjectives, or you're in charge of prepositional phrases, or whatever it is. Then the group has to come together, like, how are we going to teach something to the other students. And it's amazing like what they can come up with, because they don't want to sit there and read from the textbook and do worksheets and whatever. So they'll generally come up with something more fun than you may have thought of yourself. For the younger students, maybe, Sam, when you're thinking about like even first, second grade, something like that, you're probably going to have less than that, but this is a perfect time for show and tell. Now, I'm not a huge show and tell fan, because to me it just takes up a lot of time, and we have so much we have to get through in the day, and for them talking about their stuffed animal for the 10th time in a row, it does get long. But I have learned over the years that show and tell is the perfect gateway to teach students, have them teach other students about something new. So when I did show and tell, I had to, there was like a little sheet they had to fill out ahead of time. They had to tell me what they were going to be talking about and what we want to teach the class. Because when I first started doing show and tell, like everybody would bring out, this is my red crayon. I got it from Walmart. I mean, like, who cares? And the kids didn't care, and nothing was being taught. It was a waste of time. Once I kind of got honed in on, okay, let's use this as a public speaking thing. Let's use this as a teaching thing. We've got great ideas here. So the student would have like an assigned day. Like if it was your day, you got to bring show and tell that day, and I would know ahead of time what that was, and then we could kind of supplement. We can work together and help each other out. So for instance, the one student brought, he really was into like Legos. He loved Legos, and he had this Lego set that he was putting together of a construction site where it had like, cranes and all this kind of stuff. And he was talking about how he put that together. Fantastic. So if we take that idea, I knew that was coming ahead of time. So then my art project that day had to do with Legos, and we're building things, and we're talking about the vocabulary of what is on a construction site, and how things are being built, and some of the jobs that go along with building things, an architecture or a general contractor, or then you have to talk about all the stuff that goes with it. And that was a more powerful 10 minutes of his time of sharing than it would have been. I'm like, this is what I got for Christmas. It's a Lego set. And it was really more of a powerful thing, making that community in your classroom where everybody's a teacher and everybody's a learner, including yourself. So that basically sums up Chapter 3, Classroom Management. I know we did talk a little bit about rules, seating arrangements in your classrooms, like maybe planning out your classroom if you had $1 million, like what your classroom would look like. I hope you've got a chance to go on YouTube and kind of see what everybody else is doing for their classroom setup. Don't feel intimidated, because sometimes just because things are pretty and neat and organized doesn't mean learning is going on in that classroom. We hope it is, but we understand that learning is the most important thing. But I hope you had time to go back and look at some of those videos, or at least kind of dug around YouTube and found something that's the fun part of teaching, I think, is like the planning of your room. So when we come back on the 15th of March, we're going to jump into Chapter 4. And Chapter 4 is also on classroom management, but it's got a little bit different twist on it. We're going to be looking at different behavior styles of students, different communication skills that we can work on in the classroom, and disruptive behavior, and what do we do with bullying, and all the good stuff. So jump in to give me an email if you're having any questions, or call me or whatever. We can talk things out. We can see how things are going. If you're feeling like this class is moving too slow, too fast, whatever, let me know, and we can adjust how things are going from here. All right, so I will see you after spring break, and enjoy your time. Bye, guys.